I think you never pass. You never pass the traumas that you are getting from this journey. It is the most dangerous experience that a person has in his life or in her life.
Welcome to Rights and Wrong, a new weekly podcast by Human Rights Watch. I'm Birgit Schwarz. More than 27,000 people have died or disappeared trying to cross the Mediterranean in less than a decade. They died seeking safety and survival from war, persecution, and the consequences of climate change, forced on precarious journeys by policies that knowingly accept their deaths. These deaths in the waters between North Africa and Europe have become so frequent, they are almost normalized. Like so many, the latest tragedy off the coast of Greece could have been avoided. It happened in plain view of Greece's Coast Guard. It was one of the Mediterranean's worst boat disasters, and it will certainly not have been the last. Clearly, the EU's migration policy of pushbacks and keeping people out is not working. To explore this, I'm now joined by Yonous Muhammadi. Yonous is a leading defender of refugee rights in Greece and a refugee himself. Welcome to the show, Yonous.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Yonous, 750 men, women, and children were packed onto that boat that capsized off the coast of Greece. And they came from Pakistan, Egypt, Syria. You have liaised with some of the support groups that work with them. Can you tell us a bit more about what drives these people to go on such risky journeys?
Thank you very much. And it is very clear that why these people that they are leaving, and actually they are forced to leave, and it is the last choice for them to take this journey, because there is no actually other ways of migration. From the time that we have these conflicts, we have the situation of because of climate catastrophe, and also because of poverty. We know that it is a basic human right that everyone that should try for surviving or surviving the families. So people are forced to leave. It is not that they are choosing this journey actually. And then they started from Libya, which is a place that there is no way for people to live, for these people to live in this country. And there is no way for them other than this boat in order to take to reach Europe or other safe places. So that is why these people, they take this journey.
Yeah, I mean, Human Rights Watch has documented the abusive system in Libya, and especially the abuse and even torture that happens in some of the refugee camps. So yes, that's definitely not a place of choice for these people. And as you point out, we were talking about people, families, women, children, who literally have no choice but leave home and everything behind. It's not that people do something like this voluntarily or gladly. Yonous, you yourself are actually, as I said, a refugee. So being a member of the Greek Forum for Refugees and Migrants and dealing with the aftermath of these European Union policies is not just your job. It's something you have experienced these perilous journeys yourself. Tell us a bit about why you left Afghanistan and how you actually ended up in Greece.
Exactly, I left my country because I was forced to leave. I didn't want all to leave my country like other refugees. When it was a conflict, actually the city that I left from Afghanistan, Mazar-e-Sharif, it was the last city that it was captured and failed at the hand of Taliban at that time, and I had to leave. There was no other solutions. And I would, like other refugees, we left our village actually to the next village, just hoping that maybe something will change and we will return back. Losing hopes, and actually I left Afghanistan and I was for months in Pakistan, again hoping that maybe there is a chance of returning back. And then I came to Iran, and in Iran again for 2 years I was there. And I tried to return back. Unfortunately, there was no other solutions. And finally, losing any the hope to returning home. So I decided to come to Europe. I think it is very important to understand the people that the refugee journey, it is not a journey that you choose it. It is not a journey that you organize it. It is the journey that take you the journey everywhere that you don't want. You don't know where to go and where to hang on. And that is why the families are losing. That is why that members of families are in different countries.
It's not simply a journey of people who are just looking for greener pastures, right? I mean, as you point out, it's a journey of desperation.
I think I can give you an example that I started in 1997 at the end from Afghanistan. So I arrived in Greece at the end of 2001, more than 4 years actually. If it was an organized journey, so I would come at least in some days. And so that is why I say that it is refugees, they are hoping to stay in their country and they want to stay there. When they are losing their lives, they are leaving at all. So it is not easy. So I am here in Greece. And my family, actually, they are everywhere. And my father was refugee in some country in Russia. And my mom and my brother or one of my sister, they are refugee in Australia. And one of my sister is in US. Another is in India. Another is in Pakistan. So, and still I feel lucky that at least I have them, and I lost just one brother. And I feel lucky that I lost one. So I know my neighbors, I know my friends at school, at university, that they lost everyone. So it is the refugee journey. We know also the refugee journey of Syrians, that after 5 years they came started to come to Europe, actually, because they were disappointed of the situation in their homeland. That's why they started, and they were forced to finally to find a place for surviving, to live.
Yonous, you say you feel lucky. I mean, like this boat that just capsized off the coast of Greece, of the 750 people, most actually were not lucky. Most died. Some 100 people survived. Most were men, I think all were men, and the women and children were drowned because they had been locked up in the hold of the boat. What kind of trauma does somebody who survives this kind of tragedy go through? What do you experience? What do you see?
I think you never pass the traumas that you are getting from this journey. It is the most dangerous experience that a person has in his life or in her life, if he is going through this journey. So I have gone through different detention center by Taliban, in detention center in Iran. I have been traumatized and injured and violated very badly by police of Turkey, and also in Greece. But all of them, and somehow, of course, they are also bad experience, but I cannot compare it with the journey that you don't know where to go. You are the hand of peoples that they don't know nothing else except your money, and they are thinking of that, and they don't care about your life. Just you are risking your life, not just your life, the life of your family and children and women and all of them. It is the most dangerous journey, and you never can pass this experience.
As a survivor, do you feel guilt for having survived? What is the trauma? As a survivor, like those who survived the Greek tragedy, for example, who lost their wives, their children, what trauma are they going through? What trauma are they experiencing right now?
Because I was working for long years in a psychosocial rehabilitation center, and I myself also have passed 6 months of psychoanalysis in a center because of this trauma. Of course, in this journey, I don't lost my people, but the people that they are losing people, there are many traumas that they have. The first trauma is that exactly what you said. It is the feeling of feeling that you are guilty, that you didn't care of these people, or you put their lives in danger. It is the feeling that you carry this feeling for all your life, and you cannot pass. It is really difficult. And we see people that they are living in Germany and different countries of European Union, and still they are taking medicine and they are under medication, and they cannot pass it. Of course, and the other kind of injuries that you have, that you see different violation at the borders. Do you see different violation from the traffickers? I see the incidents that the traffickers, that they were asking money, that some of our our fellow that traveling with us, they didn't have money, and they were trying to take out their nails. So it is really hard, and we have these cases that traffickers, they are cutting their ears or putting out the nails, or sexually violating the woman and the young girls. It is happening too much, and the cases that are registered as cases of violence or missing, it is not actually the actual numbers of cases. There are cases that never has been recorded or never has been understood from no one. So and even the missing peoples and those who are dying, we have. And what you said, that in less than decades, 27,000 people has lost their lives. It is the number that has been recorded.
It's a horrendous number, and we really we're just treating it, as I said, as if it's normal. We're not even caring anymore. You're listening to Rights and Wrong, a new weekly podcast by Human Rights Watch, and I'm joined by Yonous Muhammadi. We're talking about Europe's migration policy and the alarming level of tolerance to serious human rights violations against people forced to leave their homes. So, Yonous, Greece, talking about traffickers just now, Greece has been blaming these very traffickers, people smugglers, as they said, for the disaster. Other European countries have done exactly the same. All are justifying their migration policies as the only way to stop these people smugglers. So, but smugglers are not really, I mean, they are horrible, as you just described. They're exploitative. They torture people, but they are not the cause of mass migration. They exist because there are no safe and legal routes to safety. So, to what extent then is Europe's restrictive and often illegal response to migrants itself responsible for these deaths?
Uh, I can say that all this policy of restriction and all what in European policy level, and also member states that they are at the borders, actually the policies that they are following, uh, uh, pushing peoples to the hand of these traffickers, that actually they are making money of this process. So what I say, actually, that all this policy, they have the main two results. One is more money to the pocket of traffickers. Of course, the most important is that more lives will be lost at different border. That is very clear, these policies. Of course, it is also very clear that those traffickers, that they are actually traffickers, they never get in these boats. That's the truth. So we see that the small boats that they are coming, and it is announced that many traffickers were killed or such things. The true traffickers are not coming, and they know this journey, and they know that they are making money, and they will not actually put in danger their lives. It is also the reality that we know. The problem is that the European authorities and also the coast guards and in these member states like Greece, that actually they try to hide behind their fingers. And we are sure that if they wanted, they could help. They could help these people to survive. It is very obvious, not just Greece. And all the countries around that they could help these people. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Greece is a case in point. I mean, there are lots of questions have been asked about the Coast Guard's actions and the apparently deliberate hesitation to come to the rescue of the sinking boat. Is that very symptomatic for Europe's policy to keep people out?
Look, one thing I should say, that also, if we remember in 2015, also thousands of people are coming to Greece. Exactly, these coast guards that now they were and they are pushing back peoples. Actually, on that time they were saving people. With this, I want to say that actually it is not that the coast guards are the only responsible. It is actually the policies that they are have to implement. It is the policy of the European level and also the policy of the Greek authorities, that actually for more than 4 hours these people, they were asking for help, and they didn't do that. And let's see actually that if there was a cruise with hundreds of tourists, that it was coming from Libya or Turkey to Europe, to Greece, actually if they were in danger, they were waiting for hours. That's sure not, and they were trying all the countries. They were trying to save this, and also let's remember. I think that the history books will also write this, and that millions and millions of dollars were spent for 5 people, and many efforts by different international communities were done in order to save these people, which is good.
Let's just explain it. You're talking about the Titan submersive that was lost on its way to the Titanic. Yes. So it seems, I mean, what you're pointing at there, it's a very probably racist response to migrants. We say tourists would definitely have been rescued. Migrants we let drown. So to what extent is the existing European policy influenced very strongly by fearmongers and populists?
We see in last years very clearly that the far rights and the extremism in generally, it is getting power in Greece, not just in Europe generally, and also especially in Greece. If we speak, yesterday was actually announced the new parliament and the new government, and we see that again actually a neo-Nazi party, a fascist party, also entering the parliament in Greece. That actually this party, they killed one Greek rapper in Greece, that they have suffered so much, not just in Greece and also Europe. We see that what is going on in different countries, that the far rights, that they are getting power. I think it is concerning that the shifting of policy to rights and violating the human rights and the rights of the asylum seekers and the rights of refugees and actually the human rights.
And to placate these parties, the EU is paying millions of euros to authoritarian regimes like Tunisia, Libya, and Turkey to keep refugees outside of its borders. At what cost does this, what is called containment policy, come to people seeking safety and protection?
Yeah, we know that the European institutions and the European authorities, they are trying to restrict as much as they can. They want to close the borders, and they want to externalize the migration management, which is dangerous. We know that the European Union, now they are discussing how to communicate bilaterally and also as European Union with different countries of neighbors like Tunisia, like Turkey, and also like Libya, in order to externalize the management of the migration, which is, we know that it will cost really cost human lives, and it is really dangerous. Also, we see that European Union are discussing, if we see the last agreement actually of ministers of interior of the member states, if we see that they don't speak about how to make better the asylum system, or how to make better the human lives, and how to speaking about integration.
Yeah, that's a key word. Yeah, key word. I mean, like it's costing lots and lots of taxpayers' money. This externalization of migration,
Yeah.
or what? Yeah. So, I mean, let's take the UK, which is now no longer in the EU, but the UK is an example, which is trying to ship out refugees and asylum seekers to Rwanda at a cost to itself. The money that it would cost taxpayers to do so is more than what it would cost Britain to build flats and houses for these refugees it wants to get rid of. So wouldn't taxpayers' money be much better spent on programs to assist migrants to integrate?
So that's very clear. So it is really it is sad that I see that in this process, even the citizens, they are not participating to resist against this policy. That we see that this agreement with the third countries, it costs really too much money to the taxpayers. And these taxpayers and these citizens that actually voting for these governments, I think that the societies, the European society, and also the taxpayer also should react to these actions of the European Union. We know that it is less costly that if the management is a European management of the migration, if there are many alternatives ways for people accessing this asylum system, that So we, as Europeans, we are proud of this asylum system, that we have an asylum system which is based on human rights, respecting human rights. It is based on UN Convention, Geneva Convention 1951, which is, we are proud of them. But let's see that how make it effective. People losing life in order to have not access to this asylum, what does it mean? So making this asylum system being effective, it means that trying to make accessible to those who are in need, actually those asylum seekers, that in order to access this asylum system, actually they are losing their lives in different borders.
You're listening to Rights and Wrong, a new weekly podcast by Human Rights Watch, and I'm joined by Yonous Muhammadi, and we're speaking about the European Union's disastrous migration policy and what alternatives could be. Yonous, you just mentioned it. There need to be safe routes for migrants. And I think that what happened with Ukrainian refugees is an example of that being possible. Millions of Ukrainians found refuge in neighboring countries when Russia invaded their countries. And today, most of them work, their children go to school. So it shows that integration is actually possible. How does that make you feel, though, as an Afghan whose countrymen and women are presently living in limbo in refugee camps in Pakistan?
I'm 22 years in Europe. For the first time, I saw a European management, a kind of responsibility sharing in Europe regarding Ukrainians. That close to 7 million Ukrainians actually came in Europe, and there was really a good cooperation and a European management of this, and responsibility sharing and solidarity to the refugees, which is good. But unfortunately, we see a two double standard. We can see that it is not happening to other refugees. It is not happening to other peoples, that they are forced to their country and they are coming to the doorstep of Europe, or they are in Europe. We see that this double standard is actually going on, and it is not happening with the other refugees, which is really, I as refugee also really feel bad. I'm not feeling bad because Europe is doing their job for Ukrainians. We as communities, the first that we reacted in order to help Ukrainian refugees. And Ukrainian refugees with us together, we are calling Europe that actually Europe should do it with all refugees. It is actually what Europe do. And now Ukrainians also are worried because Europe is actually stepping back to the policy of responsibility sharing and also the solidarity that they had with Ukrainians. Already there is a worrying with Ukrainian communities also that what will happen with them. We see.
The keyword here, responsibility sharing. Frontline states like Greece and Italy have been complaining bitterly about having to carry what they call an undue burden due to their geographical location, and also because asylum seekers are required to file their claim in the first EU member state that they enter. So do those countries not have a point?
Of course, what is very clear that even most of member states also, and civil society organizations and experts, they are calling this asylum system now in Europe, it is not effective, it is not working, because actually we don't have a common asylum system. And also we see that we don't have a kind of European management. We don't have responsibility sharing. What we have, it is responsibility shifting responsibility to the other countries, especially the countries that they are at the border of European Union. It is true that countries like Greece, like Italy, and like Spain, it is not their fault because they are at the border of Europe. It doesn't mean that they should have the responsibility of managing this. Of course, it would be if there is not a European response, if there would be a crisis for Greece or for Italy, if the management of this goes to this country. But unfortunately, Europe tries to do that. And we have a policy that just we are giving money to these countries, we can solve this problem. And we see that by different regulation and directives by name of Dublin 1, Dublin 2, Dublin 3.
Please explain that. Explain Dublin 1, Dublin 2, Dublin 3 to our listeners.
These regulations of Dublin, which is Dublin 1, Dublin 2, it is actually says that all refugees and migrants who are entering group all their requests and their application should be processed in the country, in the first country of entry, which is not possible. It means that Greece is at the border, so it is impossible for Greece to manage this migration flow. Of course, it is not possible. There should be a European response, a European management, and this regulation, which they call it Dublin regulation, it should be taken out already, and it doesn't work actually.
But of course, we have European countries like Poland and Hungary who are completely and adamantly opposed to this kind of responsibility sharing. So it's become quite evident that the EU's migration policy is not working and also won't stop people seeking safety in Europe from conflicts and climate disasters and persecution. In fact, those people actually have a right to asylum, to refuge. So you talked earlier about sort of safer routes, safer ways, alternative ways of helping people to realize that right. What, in your view, needs to change for people to be able to do so?
Look, the first, as refugee, the best solution for all refugees, for all people, is the solution is if they can stay in their homeland. That is the solution, I think. Unfortunately, it is not possible. We have the climate crisis, we have the conflict. Already there is a volcano, and you cannot now stop this volcano. And you should manage the consequences of this volcano. You cannot stop. So in this problem, all of us, we have the responsibility, either as individual, as society, as authorities, as countries, as continents, as all of us.
Yeah, no, and also let's not forget that a lot of these crises are created by Western industrial countries.
Yeah, and I was coming to this. That so coming to Europe to see that in Europe, actually what we see that Europe and actually Western countries, they are in somehow involved at the cause of this conflicts and the cause of this that causes people they are lifting home, and they are not taking the responsibility of the results of all this policy that they have actually in different parts of the world. We know why Afghans are leaving. We know why Iraqis are leaving. We know why Africans are leaving. We know that many people, millions of people in the next years, they cannot stay in their homelands actually because of this climate change. That again, some countries and some peoples are responsible. Some politicians are responsible for this. So when it comes to the consequence, to the management of this consequence, always we are stepping back. So there are actually alternatives for such kinds of policies, that people should not lose their lives, that there are really alternatives.
What are these alternatives precisely? How do you create safe passage?
We have the asylum system. We should make it accessible. We have made an asylum system in Europe for asylum seekers, for those who are in need. So we should make it accessible for these people without people losing their lives at the doorstep of Europe. It means that we should create alternatives. Alternatives means that there should be safe passage, giving more opportunities to the UNHCR in order to allocate, in order to resettle more refugees. There are many other ways, humanitarian visas. We have education pathways. We have family reunification pathways, that there are so many people here that their families are in danger in first relation, in family relation, that they cannot come. And also that this asylum system should be accessible in different countries, in embassies, in different countries that they have. That unfortunately it is not possible now. So there are alternatives, but unfortunately there is not willing from the European authorities.
Yonous, to wrap this up, you say there's no willingness. After this latest tragedy, which caused probably up to 700 deaths, a lot of them women and children, do you think that this might have caused a change of mind amongst the public and created more empathy for migrants and their reasons for fleeing their countries, and that it will also convince Europe's politicians of the need to create alternative routes that ensure the drowning en masse of human beings stops?
I think we see a focus from the media and also from the politicians and also from the societies to this issue. I can see that until the next tragedy. It is what I see actually. So it is not the first tragedy, and also, unfortunately, I can say it is not also the last tragedy that we have. There are everyday people that they are pushed back, and people are losing their lives in different borders. And now we have that. There is a discussion. It has been created a discussion, which is good. But I am afraid that soon we will have another tragedy also. Tragedies also we will have, because I'm not hopeful. I'm disappointed actually for what I see in political level in European Union, not just in Europe and also in other countries. I'm as a refugee also, I am active on the grassroots, but I'm also involved advocating in the policy, in the political level, in different institutions. We are advocating for this, but unfortunately, I'm not hopeful. That I'm disappointing that there is a willing to change this policy.
I'm very sad. We have to actually close on this note. That is not very hopeful. I am, on the other hand, hoping that by having this conversation, maybe people out there will begin to realize that refugees and migrants are desperate. They do not want to leave their countries. They do so because they are forced to do so. And they deserve our empathy, apart from the fact, of course, that we have laws in place that entitle them to refuge and asylum. Yonous, thank you so much for this conversation. It's been tough, but I thank you a lot for sharing your own experience with us, and also your vision for how this can change, how migration can be handled better, because it's definitely not going away. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You have been listening to Rights and Wrongs, a new podcast by Human Rights Watch. Our producers are Christina Varganova and Isa Rodriguez Akhtar. Our engineer is Kosi Okbuli. I'm Birgit Schwarz. Next week's edition of Rights and Wrongs will look at Sudan, where a brutal power struggle between the country's two most powerful generals is forcing millions to flee. Please join us again then. Goodbye for now.